morning, everybody. Kate here at Second Verse Paper Studio. Welcome back. Last time you were with me, we built the spine of a new Infinity style junk journal. Today, we're going to go ahead and start putting some signatures into it. I had some internet issues yesterday, and I had filmed a whole video on cutting down papers to fit. Basically walked you through doing all of these, and that video is gone. So all I did to gather these up was find a bunch of papers I liked and folded them in half just as they were, and then I took my Infinity journal and I measured my width and my height, and I found out what my maximum page measurements were. 7 1/4 inches by 4 3/4 inches. And I trimmed down to a maximum of that size. So this is the biggest my pages are going to be. Quite a few of them are actually smaller than that, because I'm going for a raggedy sort of vibe in this journal. So 7 1/4 by 4 3/4 was the maximum size. Now I have a collection of pages, and I need to start arranging them into 4 signatures. So let's take a look at what we got here. I have just some tissue paper pages. These are not going to count towards my 5 pages per signature, which doesn't sound like a lot, but once you get it all decorated and you multiply it by 4 for all the signatures you're going to have, it gets to be quite a chunky book. So we're going to keep it under control today. But I really liked last month in the Junk Journal January challenge putting in some tissue paper, because it was like the old books with the protective sheet in there. You turn it, you know, whatever's on the next page is just going to be beautiful and precious. So I've got a couple of those. They don't contribute to the bulk, and I really can't glue a whole lot to them, so they are just going to be extras that get tucked in. I've got some onion dyed paper and some tea dyed paper. I decided to keep the little frillies on this one because, I don't know, I just like the look of it, especially peeking out over the top of something else, or with something else peeking through it. Could be a lot of fun. A couple pieces of ledger paper, some printed cardstock. I have the colored cardstock that we talked about last time, and the colors were not quite true to what was on the packaging, but we will make it work. I did 2 of each. I don't know, I may end up doing those together. I may end up spreading them between the signatures. We'll just see what happens. I've got some book pages from a garden encyclopedia. Some of my stuff has some nice torn edges on it. Color photos, black and white photos. These are from the Swamp book I used in Junk Journal January. This is just such a pretty color. This right here is the orange I was hoping this was going to be, but what can you do? Another page from that book with lots of blues and browns and greens in it. Really love this side. The texture in this is beautiful. I've got some pieces of a brown paper lunch bag. I went ahead and crinkled them all up. I may end up inking them just to make the creases and stuff stand out a little bit, even after they start flattening out with age. I've got a little paper card bag, and I discovered that I like tucking these in. I've got a side loading pocket this way, and then on this side what I did was I clipped the corner with my little handy dandy corner punch, and that gave me a spot to get my scissors in. And now I have a top loading pocket for another spread. And then this was a fancy invitation envelope, and I just cut a notch out of the center of it. That way, when it's sewn in, I can open it on either side, whatever page I'm on, and it won't catch on the other pages. So you gotta have a bit of a notch there. So it looks weird right now. It will be better in the journal. And that's what I've got for pages. I saved all of my offcuts. Look at this. These are great for finishing off pages, decorating, bringing it all together. Right now this stuff doesn't match very well, but when I start putting offcuts of some pages onto other pages, suddenly they're tied together. So don't throw your offcuts. It's good stuff. I've got things from my ledger pages that have, you can't even see that on the camera. My lighting situation is a little wonky this morning. I've got strings and numbers. I've got bits of the photo. More frilly edges if I want them. So keep all of this stuff. This is all very good stuff. There we go. I'm going to set this aside for now. My project basket. So we're going to need 4 signatures. And again, they get sewn in opposite directions. So these 2 signatures are going to come out this way, and these 2 signatures are going to open out that way. So we need to come up with 4 signatures. I guess what I usually do to start is just kind of divvy up my basic pages. Like I did 4 of these. So that can be the start of some signatures. This one, I had a longer page. This is going to be a fold out. So that'll be fun. So there's 4. Let's start adding some goodies to it. Here we go. Alright. This one's undersized, so I want to make sure I have something full size in that signature. Like that. And this, actually, I'm going to switch these. Again, because that one is short. So I want a nice mix in all of my signatures. Let's do colored pages next. I think the green would be really pretty with the green ledger paper, so we're going to go with that. Nice rich dark color with my tea dyed stuff over here. Let's do the yellow with that one. The 2 short ones. Stick a short one in there. Don't really want red and green together. Oh, I'm going to have to think on that for a second. I don't know. We're going to set that aside. We're going to keep moving. Book pages. Got this stuff. It's going to go in with these to give it a little hit of color. Maybe green will be okay. I just won't put those next to each other. Sunrise stuff can go in there, which means these can go on these pages. And actually I'm going to switch. So I've got some green because I don't have any green in this one. And this one has, well, it's got some green too. It's got the purple. It'll be pretty. Now for my funky stuff. Envelope. Tuck in there. That's actually kind of pretty together as it is. Which means that signature is going to be done. Just get a brown crinkly page in there. Let's do pockets in this one, and we'll do a crinkle page over here. Now, eeny, meeny, miny, moe, right? I don't have a lot of white in this one, so we'll go with white in there. And I don't have a lot of white in this one, so we'll go white in here. So these are my 4 signature sets. Just gonna stack them up. We're gonna deal with them one at a time. Starting with this guy. All right. So, what do we want for a cover of the signature? It's going to go against the brown. Let's do this one. Kind of ease into it a little bit. Some book page behind it. I don't like that. It's a neat peek out kind of effect. Let's go to the green next to that. Small page in here. Sorry, I should be doing this on the camera. I'm gonna go up with that one. A very sunshiny yellow red in there. So there is one set. I'm gonna go ahead and clip it. I like having the numbers show down here, so I'm going to make sure that when I stitch this, my numbers are showing. And for right now, not having any idea what's going on these pages as far as decorations, we are just going to commit, and we will decorate with what we've got after we sew this in. I've done some journals where I go ahead and decorate all the pages and then I arrange them into signatures. And that worked out kind of nice, but for this one I really want to just be able to grab a picture and grab some supplies and just work on a spread, because it was actually really relaxing to do that during Junk Journal January, to just have a prompt. This time the pictures are going to be my prompts. So this signature is ready to go. I clip it top and bottom so nothing slides. I'm so sorry about the lighting. The sun is not even up yet, so I'm working all with artificial light. And it's a little bit glary. But clip it top and bottom so nothing slides around, and it can just sit and wait for us. Let's do the same thing with the next one. Oh, I don't know. Could do the grid paper on there. I really liked that envelope on there though. I think we're going to go with the envelope on there. And maybe that'll be the front of that signature. Really get your attention. Got some white in there. Let's give it some color. Let's do this guy. So then on the back side we've got a nice stacked effect. Tea-dyed paper with a cat hair in it. Going to go after the orange. I'm going to keep the orange down low because I went high with the grid paper. Let's put, oh, I gotta put that in there. Let's do that and then the orange, because this is pretty well full size. Make sure it's going the right way. There we go. I dyed this batch of tea paper while it was folded, so the crease is very, very, very creased. It's too big for the bucket I dyed it in, for the pan. Go ahead and clip it. So that's kind of lovely. So now we have 2. Third time's the charm. Let's see what we've got here. Let's go with a bright sunshiny yellow first. bit. This will make a nice spread. I'm going to go this way with the fold out coming out to the left right away. Orange in there. Let's go high with it. No, I don't want to go high. I want to stay low with this one because of the top loading pocket. If something sticks out, I don't think I want it sticking out past the page. Unless I do, if I have something with a tassel, or we'll just go kind of, we'll just center it. I'm not sure. But everything's sitting at the bottom of the signature, so I want something to come up. We'll center that one. Orange and the ledger paper, which is full size. I'm going to flip it over though, so this time my numbers are along the top and they will peek out again. Go ahead and clip this one. All my little binder clips are coming out today. When I want those, they're always at the bottom of the jar. Alright, so there's another one done. Kind of excited for this one, not gonna lie. I think we're gonna start with this page. Got a lot of narrow pages in this patch. A really muted, soft kind of one in here. Put the green in. I said those weren't going to go together. Let's do our tissue paper. Maybe we don't want the tissue paper there. I have an idea. So hang on a second. Let's get our tea paper in there with the little frillies. And this one. And let's put the tissue paper around the photo page. It's very muted this way, but we've got some hints of what's going to come. I think I like that. I do want this one out a little further though. That way we can savor the frillies peeking out a little longer. Alright. I'm going to flip the tissue paper over. There we go. I'd like more peeking out at the top than at the bottom. I think we're going to go ahead and center that page on there. What do we think? Let's go with it. Clip it. Go, make sure they're nice and tight into the corner. And we have 4 lovely signatures. Alright, it is time for the hole punching and the stitching. And I happen to have a tool for this. See, I've got my awl. sewing scissors. Should be a needle in here. There it is. It's trying to run away on me. Alright. There's the needle. I have a punch board somewhere. And of course I set it aside, and you think I can find it? Oh, right here, under the edge of my basket. So I splurged and got one of these guys. It's great because it's got a flat part for punching like the book spine or punching flat things. And then this part is actually got a divot in it for doing like this spine of a signature. So it helps keep it nice and tight down into that corner. If you don't have one of these, my first bookbinding punch was a piece of wood with a cabinet hinge and a screw. So it was like a big piece of wood that I could punch into, and then it had an arm on it with a hinge on it, and out at the end was a little screw, and it would just punch through wherever I put it. Very DIY, but it worked fabulously. And we made that out of just stuff in the garage. It cost us nothing. I have some brown embroidery floss. I know the waxed thread is typical, but I don't like the feel of it. It doesn't feel nice when I use it. And I like being able to pick coordinating colors. This is going to go with our brown. So it won't stand out horribly because the stitches will be exposed on both sides. So we're going to go with that. And I go 3 times the height of my signature. It ends up with extra, but I'd rather do that than get through all the stitching and then find out I don't have enough thread. So 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to need 1, 2, 3, 4 of those. So there's 1. I'm just going to measure it off of this one. 2, 3. Ah, and it was cut. Okay. The hazards of buying thrifted craft supplies. Somebody had already cut this for a project. But that's okay. I've got more on the spool. Just gotta find another end. Oh, sorry about that. Alright. There are my 4 threads. I'm going to go ahead and get the needle threaded right away. Alright. So we're good. Now, what I did was I went through yesterday and I counted the little holes on my punch board so I know where I'm punching each signature. Now I'm going to go ahead and do those all right away, and then I will start stitching them in. So lay this in here, make sure our paper clips are out of the way. These in just to pin it down. So I'm looking for hole 5, 15, 23. They're off center, does not matter, as long as they're consistent it will be just fine. So there's that one punched. I do a 3-hole pamphlet stitch because that's the first one I learned. It's simple, it's secure. And I'm way more interested in doing all the other fancy decorating than I am sewing in signatures. So there's one done. Do the same thing with these guys. Just slide my paper clips a bit. Make sure your corner is nice and tight and snug in there, otherwise you will get off. And if you're using a punch board like this, anything other than a template, make sure you are tucked down to the straight edge. Now, if I was doing a traditional spine, I could take my spine piece and lay it on the flat side and do all my punching, and it would match up and it would be great. But we have an issue with that when we do an infinity journal, because of the way it's built. Our covers overhang just a pinch, and that gets in the way of laying it nice and flat. Like when I open this, that edge of the cover comes over the crease. So the way I found to get around that, and those of you who are really perfectionists are going to cringe, the way I found to get around that is to just set my spine or my signatures in place and punch right through them. Just right here in the open air. So it's going to bother some of you. Just be brave with me, it'll be okay. Make sure we got our front, top. I have this Ex Libris page in there, so that's determining which way is up. Make sure all my signatures are right side up. I did one journal. At one point, the entire thing I stitched in upside down. I was so upset. And I'd had this really beautiful copper embroidery thread. I didn't have enough to redo it. I had to go with orange instead. I think I would like, which one would I like to start? Not that one. I don't think I want yellow with the gray either. I like the envelope one the best. We're going to start with this one right here. So, being brave, we're going to go ahead and center it. This is not an exact science, and it still could go crooked, but that is kind of the risk you run with handmade things, and it will be just beautiful anyway. So I'm going to find my hole right here. Make sure I'm aiming at the crease, not at the book cover, not at the next piece of the spine. And I'm just going to poke right through like that, see? And I'm going to do the same thing with the next one. See my needle? There it is. There's my awl. And I'm going to do the same thing with the last one. Make sure you keep your fingers clear. This one hurts if you do it to your hand. I speak from experience. But then what you're left with, and I'm going to regret this later, pulling it off, but then what you're left with is your 3 holes right in the corner. Hang on. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and stitch that in right away. There's less pieces floating around. So I'm going to go towards the outside from the center. Go ahead and get in there. I'm going to come back in from the top. I'm going to hang on to the tail out here. This is what we're going to tie it with. I'm going to go in through the top, so you need to find that hole. And I always have trouble. I get this far, and then I've got to feed it through here. So in through the top, back out through the bottom, And then you're going to come back in one more time through that same center hole. Try not to split your thread. Makes life difficult. I split it. There we go. Alright, so now what you want, I still split, we can pull the needle off. We don't need the needle on there anymore. When I talk about splitting your thread, I stitched right through, right here, right through the embroidery thread. I can't tighten that properly, I can't knot it properly, so I need to make sure that is undone. I'm going to pull this part back through very gently, and again down there. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to tuck one tail underneath this center thread, so we have one string coming out to one side of it, the other string coming out to the other side of it. Go ahead and pull it snug, not tearing but snug, and then you're going to tie it in a bow. I do an extra knot at this point just in case it comes undone. But then I tie it into a nice lovely bow. You can untie and hang charms from it, do whatever you would like. Trim the ends. There's my stitch. I can pull the paper clips off now. And we have our first signature in here. It's very exciting. Do the same thing with the second signature. And then 3 and 4. I am going to end up speeding up this part of the process because our video is getting a little long. Alright, we have an infinity journal. So now when we're flipping through, got all these lovely colors and textures, rough edges, things that crinkle. My crease is a little tight right now. It'll relax as I'm opening it up and working in it. Got our little envelope pocket here. Remember, we made a pocket when we built the spine. It's going to be so pretty when we fill it up. I love all the colors already. All the interesting lines. And we get to the back, and we keep going the other direction. Got our fold out page here, tuck spot, top loading pocket we made. Kind of like that with the black and white behind it. And we're back to the beginning. Already, it wants to stand up on its own. Already it's feeling more like a book. So stay tuned. This weekend, for sure, I want to get some pages decorated. I am so excited, guys. You have no idea. I've been collecting pictures and fabrics. A friend of mine just brought me some for quilting scraps, and they go with all these beautiful colors. Plus she brought me some purples, which will be a nice contrast. It's going to be so beautiful. I hope you are having fun building your own journals. If you are, please let me know down in the comments. I would love to hear from you.